Welcome to Tales from the Grave. Please allow me to guide you through the darkest corners of the human soul. It is said that stories create the world we live in. What world would you have? Let us begin.
The Haunting of Hawthorne Manor. A story by Alan Gambrell. The Arrival, 1875. In the autumn of 1875, Thomas and Emily Hawthorne rode in a black carriage up the winding, leaf-strewn drive to their new estate. The manor loomed above the rolling hills of New England like a cathedral of shadows, its gables clawing toward the gray sky, ivy clinging to its stone as though in desperation. Ancient oaks crowded the grounds, their boughs arching protectively or oppressively over the roofline. To Thomas, a rising merchant of means, the house was a monument. Brick and timber pressed into permanence, proof that he had conquered poverty and carved his name into the soil of America. To Emily, with her 3 children huddled close, Eleanor, 12, sharp-eyed and bookish, Samuel, 10, restless with mischief, and Clara, only 6, clutching her mother's hand, it promised sanctuary. The estate came with a caretaker. Beverly, she was called, a woman of quiet tread, gray dress, and a gaze that seemed to follow without effort. Introduced as a long-time servant of the house, she moved like smoke through its chambers, appearing where she was most needed, hands folded, eyes lowered. She seldom spoke, save to the children, who adored her stories of the manor's history, her gentle way of tidying their rooms while humming lullabies none of them recognized. Emily found her helpful, though strangely elusive. Thomas hardly noticed her at all. To the children, she was comfort. To the house, she was something deeper. 2. The Descent. At first, the Hawthorne household brimmed with warmth. Fires roared in the hearths, laughter echoed beneath the vaulted ceilings. But as the seasons turned, small cracks widened into fissures. The brandy Thomas poured after supper bled into midday glasses. Emily joined him, first to soothe, then to forget. Their laughter soured into sharp arguments. The children learned to measure their words, their footsteps, their very breathing. The manor absorbed it all, its long corridors carrying whispers farther than intended, its windows rattling at every slammed door. Beverly's presence grew sharper in those years. She lingered in doorways, her expression soft yet unreadable. When Thomas raged, she watched. When Emily wept, she adjusted the curtains to keep out the light. Her tenderness toward the children remained, though now it felt edged with possession, as though she were holding them tighter than their own mother could. 3. The Fall, 1878. One storm-lashed night, Thomas stumbled drunk along the grand staircase, as was his nightly routine. Beverly knew this routine because she watches. She always watches. Beverly made a decision. She wished she could talk to Emily about it, but she was unsure if Emily would approve. But she knew that Thomas would only get worse, his drinking, his anger, and she would not allow him to harm the children. A push, no, merely a nudge at the right moment is all it would take. Then maybe, just maybe, someday there would be laughter in the house again. Shadows from the lightning made the hall appear endless. He reeled, his hand slipping from the carved banister. For the briefest instant, the air shifted, like the house itself reached out. His foot missed. The crash thundered through the halls. By dawn, Thomas Hawthorne lay in the foyer with his neck at an unnatural angle, whiskey pooling beneath him. The coroner called it a drunken accident. Emily wept as though her heart were broken, though her eyes flickered with something perilously close to relief. From the landing above, Beverly watched. She did not move. She did not weep.
If you are enjoying Tales from the Grave, please be sure to like and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories. Now, back to Tales from the Grave.
4. The Hollow Years. Grief hollowed the family more thoroughly than drink ever had. Emily faded into a pale specter, retreating into dim rooms, clinging to memories that rotted even as she held them close. Eleanor escaped first, her fierce independence carrying her to a women's college in Boston. Samuel left next, restless, bitter, taking work in New York. Only Clara remained, a girl pressed too tightly against her mother's skirts, whispering to the walls when she thought no one heard. The house grew restless in their absence. Doors opened of their own accord. Floors creaked under invisible weight. Windows clamped shut against the children's protests during visits. And Beverly, always Beverly, remained unchanged. She never ate, never left, never aged. Clara began to notice. At night, Beverly came to her bedside, whispering stories not of knights or saints, but of staying, of belonging, of never leaving the house. Clara shivered, yet felt her will bend.
5. The Return, 1895. By 1895, Eleanor had become a journalist. Hardened, skeptical, she returned to the estate determined to confront the decay that had consumed her family. She carried with her notebooks, curiosity sharpened into a blade. Her investigation unearthed the manor's forgotten history. It had been razed in 1762, and in 1770 a fire had swept through its nursery wing. A nanny named Beverly perished in the blaze, her body found shielding the children she could not save. The revelation curdled into terror as the house itself began to turn against them. Doors slammed like gunshots. Rooms grew icy with no draft. Eleanor glimpsed gray skirts vanishing around corners. Clara admitted what she had long feared. Beverly was always there, whispering, coaxing, binding. The truth crystallized. Beverly had not merely haunted the estate, she had become it. Her devotion, twisted by fire, bound by grief, had fused with the walls. The house was her body, her breath, her prison. As they tried to leave, the doors swell in their frames. Locks jam or keys turn uselessly, not with malice, but with the stubbornness of a child clinging to a parent's hand, not wanting them to walk away. The room turned warm and inviting. Instead of becoming hostile, the air grows rich with familiar scents. The mother's favorite flowers, the children's birthday cake from years past. The house floods them with comfort, a reminder of everything it has given, as if saying, "See, we were happiest here." Once Hawthorne Manor realized that they truly needed to be free to be happy, Beverly at last became silent. The weight lifted, the air cleared. Beverly's gray figure dissolved into dust.
7. Aftermath. The Hawthornes remained. Emily began to heal, her eyes less haunted. Clara stepped beyond the estate's gates without fear for the first time. Eleanor wrote the tale, not as horror, but as testimony of love and loss. Yet the house still stands, ivy-bound and brooding. Its gables claw the sky. Its oaks whisper in the wind. And sometimes, when the halls fall utterly silent, one might hear the faintest hum of a lullaby.
Thank you for being here. Please be sure to leave us a comment. Let us know where you're listening from. Until we meet again, stay spooky, and may all your nightmares be groovy.